I'm not crazy. My reality is just different from yours. Have fun.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen. Jetzt haben wir gerade leider was verpasst in der Aufnahme. Und zwar haben Als geschrien und wir sollen jetzt im Garten gucken, was passiert ist. Ist das hier der Garten? Ja. Alter! Alter! Aua! Aua! Ah. Ah, Jesus. Alter Vater. Der ist ja mal hier. Und so. Finden die verlorene Geldbörse im Garten. Ja, dann schauen wir doch mal. Da sind ja doch zwei. Alter, was ist da? Autsch! Du brauchst schon Bänke. Jetzt so. Jetzt so. Das macht doch einiges. Was haben wir denn die Krallen? Und noch ein Schlückchen. Komm schon! Eieiei. Fotografie in einer Brieftasche. Das Foto eines verliebten, lächelnden Pärchen. Auf der Rückseite steht Milton und Piper für immer. Oh.
So, Mr. Hooks and Nurse Hawkins are an item. Those two have hidden their affections well.
Eieiei. In der damaligen Zeit war das ja, oder ich glaube sogar in der heutigen Zeit, ist es ja nicht so gern gesehen, wenn vor allem so Arztdinger, Gedöns, nicht Gedöns, wenn zum Beispiel in Arztpraxen etc., wenn da die Leute miteinander was haben. Reicht denn da immer noch so? Aber jetzt gehen wir erstmal zu dem Knilch und bringen ihm die Geldbörse. Und dann untersuchen wir die Blutproben und werden dann endlich mal in unserem Bettchen eine Runde schlafen gehen. Was ist das hier eigentlich? Nichts Interessantes, schade. Dann gehen wir wieder zurück. Dann schauen wir mal, was der Milton da so drüber hält. Dann haben wir bestimmt wieder mindestens ein Geheimnis weniger. Lauf, Johnny Jumper, lauf. Ja, um mich zu entwickeln. Wir haben inzwischen wieder 800 irgendwas. Also nicht gerade wenig. Das heißt, wir können wieder ein Level up machen. Lauf, Johnny Jumper. Da ist er ja. Hello, my friend.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Yep, und deiner Geldbörse.
I have some good news, Milton.
What? The epidemic's over?
I retrieved your wallet with all the
Not
money
bad, my friend.
and a certain picture.
Well, yeah, Pippa Hawkins is my girl. So what? Is it the difference of skin colour that
Was?
bothers you?
Nein.
Not at all, Milton.
Good. Please, take this money anyway. To remind you to keep your mouth shut. Not everybody is as broad-minded as you, Dr. Reed.
Alter Vater.
What's going on between you and Nurse Hawkins?
Oops.
Pippa's tired. Tired of all this shit. Tired of all those corpses piling up. She's as depressed as I am.
During the war, I witnessed a few couples just like you come together in difficult circumstances. It can be very damaging.
Maybe you're right. But we support each other. And that's all that matters.
Das stimmt.
You do realize you could both get fired. Hospital staff are not meant to have intimate relationships with one another.
Come on, Dr. Reed. Do you know how many rules are broken in this hospital every day just to keep it running? There's nothing wrong with what we're doing.
Das stimmt. Da hat er nicht unrecht. So.
Goodbye, Milton.
Und der Knilch hat trotzdem noch 3 Geheimnisse. Lalalala. Aber wir werden die Pippa noch ansprechen, weil vielleicht hat sich bei ihr auch ein Geheimnis gelöst. Wo du bist, du gute Frau. Was ist ein Arzt? Ist das der Pippa?
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Das ist der Tipp jetzt. Okay,
Dr.
Entschuldigung.
Reed, any good news to share?
Leider nicht, aber Sie sollten endlich mal schlafen gehen. Sie
Goodbye,
sehen echt fertig aus. Ach, das arme Knilchlein. Armes Männlein. So, hier war nichts. Wo war sie denn nochmal? Die laufen ja hier immer rum. Was sind da noch mehr? Da ist doch ein Arzt.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed? Yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Ach, der ist ja richtig freundlich.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Das stimmt. Ihm ist scheinbar auch sehr viel an seinen Patienten gelegen. Wardley hält sich nichts von modernen Methoden der Medizin. Ah, schon wieder so ein Altdenker. Interessant.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd. I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Kein Grund, mich für uns reifen. Das ist unsere wichtigste Waffe. Ich habe viele mit dem.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
Was? Ah, der geht mir jetzt schon auf den Sack. Alles klar, Kollege, wir werden keine Freunde.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
Dir mögen zwar die Leute wichtig sein, aber du bist ein Arschloch. Das darf ja wohl nicht wahr sein. Ah, du bist wieder.
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Ach, wir können mit ihr nicht mehr
Thank
reden,
you, Nurse
schade.
Crane.
Die schaut immer aus, wenn die gerade vom Schlachter gekommen wäre. Ist ja noch so. Da sind sie.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Okay, hat irgendwas mit dem Arm. Gesund. Ja, so gesund scheint er nicht zu sein.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is, I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Hat er nicht ganz unrecht.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book.
Alles klar, es geht um seine Behandlung und die wissen gerade nicht ganz, was hier... Bist du?
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
Okay.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Okay.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
Oh, okay.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
Okay. Wenn du es benötigt. Aha! Da hat jemand Geld eingesteckt. Geht ja gar nicht. Na gut. Was geht mit dir?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No.
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Okay, so irgendwas ist mit ihm passiert.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
How painful.
So painful I've...
I'll let you get some rest then.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
Okay.
As for me.
Ist der gewürgt worden oder hat der versucht sich zu erhängen? Das ist irgendwie merkwürdig.
Good evening, sir.
Evening. Ist hier noch wer? Nein. Wir müssen uns mal diese Hawkins krallen. Da ist noch einer. Jetzt mich faustig hinter den Ohren. Einfach Geld abknüpfen. Geht's noch? Ist noch ein Arzt? Ist das tippt?
What can I do for you, Doctor?
Ah, sorry. Die wollte ich ja gar nicht
Thank you,
ansprechen.
Nurse Crane.
Ich habe auf den anderen gezeigt und sie spricht da an. Was ist denn hier los?
Good evening,
Was ist denn hier
Doctor.
los?
I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Oh, süß.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Oh.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
Oh, okay.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
Oh, Jesus. Praktisch aber das auslaugend. Ich helfe Ihnen gerne. Gespräche bringen nichts.
I'll give you some advice, but understand that nothing beats practical experience, which can be exhausting and solitary work.
Of course, sir. And don't worry, I will never allow myself to be a burden, neither to you nor this hospital.
Ach Gottchen. Okay.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True, true. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Oh.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reed. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time.
Ach, süß. Okay.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Alles klar. Die zwei mögen sich richtig gern.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father. Ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Okay.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior. A man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones and flesh.
Da hat er nicht Unrecht. Okay, fehlen uns noch 3
Goodbye,
Fragen.
Dr. Strickland.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Da haben wir alles.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
Oh.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
Oh nein.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Oh nein.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
Oh, sowas ist echt furchtbar.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Oh, Gott sei Dank, sonst hätte er jetzt wahrscheinlich seine ganze Familie verloren. Hui!
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me...
Schui! Okay, wir müssen die... Das klang gerade wie ein Telefon. Was zum... Wir müssen die eine Schwester finden. Was ist das? Krankenschwestern werden jetzt gebraucht. Im Namen der Barmherzigkeit. Sie verlassen sich auf sie. Krankenschwestern werden jetzt gebraucht. Wenden Sie sich beim nächsten Registrierungsbüro des Ministeriums für Arbeit und Wehrdienst oder schreiben Sie an 15 Kingsway London. Okay. Wo ist die andere? Ich renn schon wieder in den Raum rein. Das gibt es doch nicht. Vielleicht ist sie draußen. Schauen wir mal kurz raus. Die Hawkins, oder wie sie hieß. Mir fehlen sogar eigentlich 2 Schwestern. Ich wollte mit der anderen auch noch reden. Die Oma? Die Oma, die Oma. Oh, der tut mir so leid. Oh, da ist wer.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
Können wir mit der jetzt eigentlich noch über die anderen Themen sprechen?
Pepper, I know you're very close to Milton Hooks.
Yes. Milton Hooks is my man. If you want to report me for that, just feel free, Doctor.
I have no intention of reporting you, Nurse Hawkins. But are you aware of the risks?
The rules say I won't be allowed to work as a nurse anymore. But here at the Pembroke, we break rules all the time.
Is he worth the risk?
Hey, I'm no perfect woman, and Milton is not the finest bloke. But we do our best to get by. That's all any of us can hope for nowadays.
Ja, da hat's nicht unrecht. Haben wir jetzt hier noch?
Pepper, are you sure you want to leave this hospital?
To become a nurse was a little girl's dream. But in the end, I don't feel that useful. I want more. I want to make things change.
But you're doing something important here. For all the patients who need your help.
We save lives, sure. Each time we send a cured patient home, it's a relief beyond words. But since the epidemic, I feel so powerless.
What steps are you prepared to take to feel more useful?
I don't know yet. My sister believes that the real fight is in the streets nowadays. Maybe she's right. Maybe this is what I must do.
And what about Milton Hooks? Does he share your point of view?
For Milton, any change means more comfort and more peace. I disagree.
If you feel that saving lives is not useful enough, perhaps it means that you've lost faith.
On the contrary, my faith has never been stronger. Maybe we are all just too proud to face up to the fact that science cannot compete with God.
Ach, wieder diese Glaubensfrage. Was ist jetzt hier?
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins.
Aber wir wollten ja mit der anderen sprechen und ich würde jetzt nämlich sagen, ich mache jetzt hier eine Pause und beende die Folge und suche jetzt erstmal die andere Schwester und dann sehen wir uns in der nächsten Folge. Bis dahin, Leute. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen. Haut rein.